A lot of new cards to go over today, so let's just jump right into it. If you guys are interested in checking out the Discord or the Twitch stream while I'm live, I'll leave both of those linked in the description below. Let's check out some of the brand new cards that we gotta look at. We'll start with Tent Trasher, 5 mana 5/5 dragon for warrior with rush, costs 1 less for each friendly minion with a unique minion type. I'm gonna give this card 2 stars. Warrior already has a lot of dragons, as in they have Deathwing, and that's kind of the only dragon you need, considering the Ringmaster's Baton and the Ringmaster Watley. I've kind of went over this in the last video. You really want to get your high impact minions out of it and not just any other minion that you'd want. So in this case, I think Deathwing Mad Aspect is a much stronger dragon to pull than Tent Trasher. While this does support a N'Zoth style unique minion typing, and that can reduce the cost of Tent Trasher to be good, I'm just kind of making the judgment call right now. I think that archetype of warrior is going to be weak, so we won't really be seeing Tent Trasher. That being said, it is an alright card. At the same time, if we're doing some Galakron stuff, Scion of Ruin exists, and that card just does a lot more for a lot less in terms of rush stats for mana. And I'm finding this card to be a little bit weaker, unless we really can cost reduce it. But I think trying to force that, specifically in Warrior, isn't going to work out too well. Next up, we have Firebreather, 4 mana 4/3 demon for Warlock, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to all minions except demons. We have Corrupted Seer, except now instead of for Murlocs, it's for demons, and it's a lot better statted, so we have to make sure we take that into consideration. I'd say that this card is pretty impactful in a mid-rangey control style warlock. I could even see it working in Zoo, just because if you build a demon-centric Zoo, this is a one-sided board clear with a relatively aggressively statted body. It's not amazing on 4, but the damage you can deal with the board is very good. I'm giving Firebreather 4 stars. I'm giving it a good potential. I see the card working out pretty well. At the same time, AoE wise, we have Hellfire, we have other universal tools that work like Keladon, and I find this a little bit clunky to work with, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. Firebreather's got some potential, and I think I'll see it around. That should bring us to Grand Empress Shek'Zara, 6 mana 5/7 rogue, Battlecry, discover a card in your deck and draw all copies of it. I'm unfortunately going to have to give this card 2 stars. My reason being, Rogue is generally a faster or a mid-rangey style of deck, and this requires Rogue to go slow. The issues we've had with Rogue in the past for being too slow is they don't have AoE board clear, so now the Vanish is gone, and they don't have that much healing to really support that archetype. That being said, this could end up being a 6 mana 5/7. I'm going to safely say draw 2. If you're doing some Togwaggle schemes, you're shuffling the little tickets from the Ticketmaster, you can draw a lot more cards with this. Even if you're doing the card that shuffles 3 shadows in your deck and you can, pop out 3 Malagoses for 6 mana, there's some potential that can work with this. I think the setup for it takes a long time for Rogue, and like I said, Rogue just generally doesn't have the time to do those types of things. So is a 6 mana 5/7 draw 2 usually worth it? That's not bad, but I think it's still a little slow for what Rogue wants to do. That's why I'm leaving the card at 2 stars. I don't see a whole lot of potential, but I'm happy to be proven wrong here. Bladed Lady, 6 mana 6/6 demon for Demon Hunter, rush, costs 1 if your hero has 6 or more attack. 5-star card. Cost reduction like this, very powerful body, very easy to get to cost 1. Generally, Demon Hunter has very passive turns followed by very heavy swing turns. If you have Soul Shard Lapidary plus your hero power, that brings you to 6, so then Bladed Lady can cost 1. If you have a weapon like Marrow Slicer or Eldrazi Warblades, that's even easier to proc. We're looking at a very powerful minion that's going to get cost reduced, and this thing is just going to help control the board, make it stronger. Generally speaking, Demon Hunter was running things like Blade Dance to do an AoE effect with the big weapon. This is just more powerful swing turn with your big weapon. This card's gonna see play. It's also a demon. You could put it in the big demon archetype and even get this thing to be cheap when you still have the core of a heavy hitting weapon. Bladed Lady's coming at you, just be ready. Next up, Zai the Incredible, 5 mana 5/3 minion for Demon Hunter, Battlecry, copy the left and rightmost cards in your hand. I'm giving the card 2 stars. I don't think Zai the Incredible is going to be great. I had a little bit of a thought about this card, that it has some potential, but at the same time, when you're copying the left and rightmost cards in your hand, part of me was thinking at first, you want to copy your outcast cards, but then you're just having a very clunky hand because now you have multiple outcast cards you're really trying to push out from your hand. So then I'm thinking, well, what if we just copy some efficient spell like Twin Slice, and now we get, 2 extra copies of Twin Slice on the left and on the right even, just, good case scenario. Then this card becomes powerful. Skull of Gul'dan even getting you a cost reduction card. You shove that all the way to one side. This copies that card with the cost reduction, and now Zai the Incredible is just adding more value. Once again, I'm giving this card 2 stars. It has some potential, but this kind of falls into the trap of Grand Empress Shek'Zara. The card is just too slow, and Demon Hunter wants to move faster. Trying to do a 5 mana 5/3 draw 2, that's not bad, but 5 mana 5/3 holds stuff in my hand to make sure I can synergize later on with some more combo potential. Yes, Demon Hunter has the slow turn followed by the massive swing turn. That happens in Demon Hunter, but I just don't think that's enough to really force Zai the Incredible to see some play. So we'll see how it's gonna work. I'm a little underwhelmed by the card. Lothraxion the Redeemed, 5 mana 5/5 demon for Paladin. Battlecry for the rest of the game. After you summon a Silverhand recruit, give it Divine Shield. 5-star card. This is going to be auto-include tier in my opinion for a lot of Paladin lists. You end up pressing the button quite a bit, and this just permanently giving them bubbles makes your dudes a lot stickier, and that's actually a lot harder to deal with. Bubble doesn't seem very strong at first, but when you can combine it with the fact that your buffs now basically are twice as effective because you're still going to be doing 2 hits before you can kill those dudes. Lothraxion is very powerful. It's a demon, so that is going to work for N'Zoth, which I think is probably now looking as Paladin to be the strongest class that N'Zoth is going to be used. So this card is very powerful. It synergizes with your button, synergizes with Day at the Fair, the Balloon Merchant. You're probably just going to end up summoning a lot of dudes, and this is really going to force your button to be a lot more proactive. It's going to be a lot scarier to deal with. I'm very excited for Lothraxion because I think this card's got a lot of potential. Deck of Chaos, 6 mana Warlock spell. Swap the cost and attack of all minions in your deck. This is a very tough card to evaluate, and I'm gonna give it 3 stars. And I know it's like middle of the road to say it's good or bad. This is going to spawn a whole new archetype for Warlock. The deck is either going to flop, or you have a very strong potential of running some very weird minions with the intention of hitting Deck of Chaos and going insane with it. Some quick examples that I was looking at before. Summoning Portal becomes a 0 mana 4/4. Is it the Mogushan Warden, the 4 mana 1/7 with Taunt? Well, that now becomes a 1 mana 4/7 with Taunt, which is very efficient. The big 4/12 dragons become 4 mana 9/12 dragons. Zeraku. Jiraxxus becomes 3 mana, because why not? Apparently that's going to work. So when you have so many of these new weird minions working together in this amalgamation for Deck of Chaos, we're basically going to run this spell with the intention of it being very powerful for these select few cards we're putting in. And when we don't hit it, well, I mean, the cards aren't terrible, but they're also not great. And I think that's the issue, is Deck of Chaos is such a powerful card if you build your deck correctly around it. When you don't hit it, it's going to be brutal, because you really want to take advantage of the effect that Deck of Chaos provides. And if you cannot take advantage of it in such a way that you are able to make a strong deck without the synergy of Deck of Chaos, I think the high roll potential of trying to hit this card and then play it for 6 mana just to set up your future turns might be a little bit slow. If we have a slow meta, Deck of Chaos could see some play. We just need a more efficient way to get this card out. Even with like Lore Keeper Polkelt, while that costs 4 and this is 6, you're probably going to want to draw all your dragons out of the way first, because that's probably one of the most powerful things you can use with Deck of Chaos. And with Polkelt, we can't even get this card first because we want to run those big dragons. So it's just a tough card to evaluate. There is a lot of potential with this card, and I say that because when you can deck build and you get it to work, it sounds gross. But because we need to hit that, I don't think it's possible. But like I said, I'm on the belief that we can't make this card work, but if it does work, it's powerful. That's, to say the least, that's what's going to happen. Malevolent Strike, 5 mana rogue spell. Destroy a minion, costs 1 less for each card in your deck that didn't start there. So we have a massive buff to assassinate, essentially guaranteed 5 mana destroy a minion. but it's going to get cheaper if we could figure out how to shuffle some stuff in there. So how do we do that? We have the Ticket Master to shuffle 3 little tickets into our deck. That's going to drop this down to 2. If we run Cthulhu in our deck at the start of the game, this becomes a 1-mana destroy a minion, and that's very powerful. So Rogue is going to have to do a little bit of slower shuffling stuff. I'm giving Malevolent Strike 4 stars. This card is very powerful. At the same time, I think it's going to be a little bit awkward to navigate and use successfully, especially when we're going to be playing Rogue a lot slower. That doesn't necessarily mean this card is bad. This has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see Malevolent Strike see some competitive play, because this level of removal is always good when you can get it cheaper. We just need to figure out what Rogue is doing to shuffle things in their deck. Generally speaking, we haven't done much anymore in terms of shuffling things into our deck. We are proactively just secret passaging to grab new stuff in our hand, whip that out, and grab our hand back. So if we can slow down Rogue and get more synergy, they have a lot of tools to support it. I'm still feeling the AoE weakness to be a big issue for Rogue, and because of that, I don't think Rogue wants to go slower, but this card could still be run in a mid-rangey deck. We're just going to have to put a little bit more synergy in with my assumption is going to be the Ticketmaster. Rinlings Rifle, 4-mana 2/2 hunter weapon. After your hero attacks, discover a secret and cast it. 5-star card. Rinlings Rifle is just very efficient, very powerful for what it does. If you look at current Highlander Hunter lists, the only 4-drops they run are Lorekeeper Polkelt, which is to guarantee hitting your Dino Tamer Bran on your next draw, and Dragonbane, which is kind of like a 6-mana card because you really want to press the button with it, or 5-mana with Tour Guide. So 4 drops in Hunter is relatively uncontested, at least in the Highlander list. And because of that, I think there's nothing wrong with Rinlings Rifle. This card is very efficient, very powerful. It's just strong enough to chuck into the list and make it work. A little slow for Face Hunter, so if we're doing any type of mid-rangey style stuff, maybe we're going to have a little bit more of a secret package, with Petting Zoo being a card that's going to be released. But Rinlings Rifle's got a lot of potential. Really excited to see it. Phenomenal card. Next up, Tenu of the Red Smoke. 2-mana 3/2 rogue minion. Battlecry. Return a friendly minion to your hand. It costs 1 this turn. A 4-star card. So we now have a Super Panda that's going to be doing a lot better in Rogue, and I think Panda was usually seen in Rogue. Rogue already runs cards like Shadow Step, so the bounce effect isn't anything bad. I think when we can make the minion guarantee cost 1 instead of a flat 2 less, we need to start analyzing the card from the sense that we need more powerful battle cries and stronger effects to make Tenu of the Red Smoke more valuable. If Rogue is going to be doing some slower stuff like bouncing the old gods, you can make them cost 1 and you can start having some crazy synergy going on with that. Once again, I feel it's just a little bit awkward to use if we want to get value out of this. Rogue is going slower. Why does Rogue want to go slower? Well, we need some payoff effect of having a mid-range list that's also a little bit slowed down. Something like Rogue having Galakrond as a package, you could start bouncing Kronks and playing that multiple times. Rather than 6 mana then 4 mana, it would be 6 mana then 2 mana for Tenwu, and now you have a 1 mana Kronks. So basically anything that costs 6 or more as a Battlecry effect, Tenwu plus that minion twice is more efficient than that minion with a Shadow Step twice. And because of that, I think Tenwu's got a lot of potential. There's a lot of strong Battlecry effects you can really make work with Tenwu, but at the same time, I'm just a little bit intrigued to see what direction Rogue is going to have to take to make these cards work. I think it's going to be solid, but at the same time, we'll need to see, because it's going to require a little bit new deck building, and we just got to ask if that's going to be stronger than what Rogue currently has, and I don't think that's the case. Next up, we got Grebo, 5-mana 4/6 Druid minion, Taunt and Death Rattle. Give a random friendly minion Death Rattle, summon Grebo. We essentially have a very sticky minion that is going to constantly keep coming up and recurring. I gotta be honest with you, I'm giving the card 2 stars. I see this having some potential, but my biggest caveat to this card was asking, what Druid list do we want to see Grebo in? If we're doing some more token style stuff, this card could be good, but at the same time, you're gonna lose to AoE anyways, so it generally doesn't make it super clunky to deal with. I don't think you're really gonna get a minion too sticky where Grebo is gonna pop off more than 3 or 4 times. And in a slower Druid deck, well, while they are a little bit minion-centric, we're just doing a lot more with our mana than trying to get a sticky board. Generally speaking, once your Druid minions get so big, you're just going to end up closing that game out if you can develop that board. And I just think Grebo might not really cut it. The way that I saw this card being played was like you would drop Ysera Unleashed, you'd shuffle the portals in, you get enough dragons to come out, you drop Grebo, and now you have the treant that you need to punch through. Then that's going to go on a really big dragon, then you got to punch through your dragons and then make sure that one's going to synergize. And once you get a big enough body that Grebo can stick on that's wide enough as well, he'll start to recur some value. But I think in that exact situation, that's really all we're going to see Grebo seeing play. I'd be happy to see him in some token decks, but I feel a little underwhelmed with the card, so I'm just going to leave it there. Next up we have Sage, Seer of Darkmoon, a 6-mana 5/5 mage minion, Battlecry draw card, and the number of cards you draw is upgraded for each friendly secret that is triggered this game. A 4-star card. I think this is really unique and interesting because Mage is really getting their forced secret mage synergy, which I'm kind of excited for. But I think with this card, you can kind of put it in anywhere and it would probably end up working pretty well. In a deck like Highlander Mage, you could run your Netherwind Portal, your Counter Spell, your Mirror Entity, maybe even Ice Barrier to stay alive, and just like that, you have 4 secrets. And if we can only play 1 or 2 of them early on, well, a 6-mana 5/5, draw 2 or draw 3, that's not terrible, especially since some Highlander Mage lists early on ran stuff like Big Ol' Whelp, and we use that as a 5-mana 5/5 to draw a card. Sure, that did have some synergy with Malygos, but I think, you know, swapping some stuff around to make sure this fits in the same role of Big Ol' Whelp while providing another dragon for that type of synergy, Sage Seer of Darkmoon has a lot of potential. If we look at it from the Secret Mage side, Secret Mage had cards going for it, and it's never terrible. You just run out of steam with Secret Mage, and this is actually doing exactly what you need to negate the weakness of Secret Mage, which is a refill. This is going to draw cards in your hand, that's going to draw you even more cards because we're doing some Secret Mage stuff, and now you just got more ammunition to keep on firing. I think this card is going to be solid. I wouldn't doubt it if it is seen, but once again, we're going to need to shift some of the decks that we currently have in order to fit in a card like Sage, Seer of Darkmoon. Deck of Lunacy, 2-mana mage spell, transform spells in your deck into ones that cost 3 more, and they keep their original cost. A big note here, this can transform into spells from any class, not just specifically within mage, and for that reason, I'm giving Deck of Lunacy 2 stars. I don't think this card is going to be phenomenal, and the only reason being, the types of spells that you can high roll into, like within Spell Mage, if I play Deck of Lunacy and now all my spells are randomly generated as more efficient versions of their previous ones, I feel like it's just a little bit awkward to use because it's so random for what's going to pop up. I kind of want to treat this card similar to Renounced Darkness, where we're going to randomly change up our deck entirely with some cost reduction and hope that that strength is enough to really make it work. And ultimately, I just don't think that type of deck is strong enough in Hearthstone. I think this card is really fun and has a lot of potential. I'll probably end up trying to build a deck around it with 30 spells if I end up pulling this card, but I don't think this card is going to be competitively strong. I think it's just going to be used for fun. I have a very hard time understanding what spell number we really want to hit for mana cost if we want our 7 mana spells to now cost 10 for Puzzle Box, Pyroblast, Survival of the Fittest, or Dimensional Ripper. But at the same time, you know, some of our cheaper spells, we can whiff with the 4 mana spells being things like Scrap Shot, where we don't have beasts in our hand. Swipe could be useful, Cone of Cold could kind of suck though. It's gonna be up in the air. This card is going to require you to build a deck that's a little too crazy, but I'm excited to see it work. Next up, Grand Totem Eyesore, or that makes sense to me how you pronounce it because this thing's a giant eye. A 3-mana 0/4 totem, shaman minion. At the end of your turn, give +1/+1 to all other totems in your hand, deck, and battlefield. This is very interesting as a card. This is my first take actually, just looking at it. I'm giving the card 4 stars. I think there's a lot of potential to actually come with Grand Totem Eyesore, just because giving stats to stuff that's inside your deck has notably been pretty powerful with Prince Keleseth and even the Mistcaller when that was a thing in Standard. We saw some decks try to take advantage of it. And this now also applies to your hand and battlefield. So your Mana Tide Totem, your Flame Tongue Totem, your Trick Totem, your hero power, all going to gain benefit from Grand Totem Eyesore, and I think that that's a phenomenal reason that you'd want to run this card. Totem Shaman already had some decent cards with Splitting Axe and Totem Goliath, and now we're just giving the totems stats, and that's kind of exactly what we needed, because having the totems not gain any stats early on, where we're stuck with 0 attack totems and totems with not enough health, this kind of just gives them a little bit where it's a little bit more merited to play. Mana Tide Totem is already valuable at a 0/3, so later on, if that thing becomes a 1/4, or if this thing can stick down for a couple of turns, even if you Splitting Axe it, that can become a 2/5, or even more. Your Totem Goliath can just become a literal unit to drop down with this card. I think this has a lot of potential. I really think Totem Shaman might work, and I'm kind of excited to see it, but this card's a little funky. That eye is staring at me, and I don't like it at all. Next up, a new rogue secret, Shadow Clone for 2 mana. Secret, after a minion attacks your hero, summon a copy of it with stealth. I'm giving the card 3 stars. I think it's a little bit interesting that rogue is going to finally get a secret that triggers off of a minion attacking your hero. So in that sense, we're going to have another secret type of triggering that we need to look out for in rogue. The question becomes, is the average minion attacking my face something I want to copy with stealth? And once again, this thing comes up with rogue. Because rogue can't heal really well, are we willing to take big damage to summon a copy of something big with stealth? And I think that kind of becomes an issue where we don't want to take a ton of damage, but at the same time, if you play this right, this can kind of flip a game around just because of the sheer damage that rogue can start to provide. If they drop, it's turn 6, I could easily play a Shadow Clone, and all of a sudden Hunter might not want to play Dino Tamer Brand, because if they attack me in the face and that doesn't kill me, they're giving me a King Crush. And that can be very scary. So I think Shadow Clone has potential. You might need to play it at the right time. In the early cases, I think it's a little underwhelming, but at the same time, this is just going to end up trading for whatever minion they're going to attack you with. So I don't think that's terrible, but at the same time, Rogue needs a little bit more stuff to work. Definitely interesting inclusion with Shadow Jeweler Hanar. I think this card would make the cut because you can kind of treat it like a delayed mirror entity, and that's a very strong secret in general. So the card's got potential. Is Hanar really going to see some competitive play again? I don't think so, but good stuff that Rogue could be getting here. Next up, Cenarian Ward, an 8 mana druid spell, gain 8 armor, summon a random 8 cost minion. So we've got a pretty decent card. I'm gonna give this card 3 stars. Once again, we've seen druid with lightning blooms, innervates, and moonfires and stuff. With Kael'thas, they can make any spell cost 1 and make it work. And Cenarian Ward, I think, is a very powerful card when we can cheat that mana out, or even early on, just have this as a reward card. At first, I honestly doubted Guardian Animals being strong, but looking at it now, if you have a strong enough payoff card, you just ramp into it, drop this, and go. And I think a card like Cenarian Ward, well, it gives Druid some armor, which they need to kind of, soak up some of the damage they took early on, so it buys them some space. And it combines it with a random 8 cost minion. 8 cost minions generally are pretty decent, and I think when you can combine 8 armor with it, that's worth a lot more than 8 mana. I mean, probably not by much. Maybe this is like, 8 mana minion plus 8 armor is like a 10 mana total, and now we're chucking that onto one card in a class that can ramp and get this out early enough where that is still a lot of pressure, or cheat the mana cost and get it weaker. This is a very strong spell with the Eclipse to double cast this card, because for 10 mana we can gain 16 and summon 2 8-drops. So we're looking at something that's reminiscent of how strong Guardian Animals was. So I think this card's got some potential. I can definitely see it working with the Eclipses a bit more. Very interesting take for Druid though. This is gonna change up my end of the reveal season review for all these cards. And the last card for this video that we'll be looking at is Deathmatch Pavilion, a 2 mana shaman spell. Summon a 3/2 duelist, the duelist just being a vanilla 3/2 minion. If your hero attacked this turn, summon another. So this is pretty strong. We're looking at 2 mana for 6/4 in stats. Compared to Feral Spirit, we're definitely on the same realm of stats. We're not overloading ourselves. We're summoning the more aggressive variant stuff. The question is, does Shaman attack enough? And with Rune Dagger, with Doom Hammer, with Splitting Axe, you are going to be attacking with Shaman. That being said, a 2-mana 6/4 spell, I'm giving this card 4 stars. That's got a lot of potential. Worst case, it's basically a Bloodfen Raptor, vanilla, but we still have some spell synergy. This can definitely start to chain with another card. You know, Instructor Fireheart can probably end up discovering this, and it's not the worst card to draw. If you look at the average Shaman spell discovered with a lot of weird totem stuff going on, if you're not running totems, those cards feel terrible. If you're trying to do a little bit more aggressive stuff and you don't hit the burst and you end up hitting the high end of the control tools, it's a little bit awkward. But I think universally, you could just use a spell to summon the average 2-drop. And because of that, I think this card has potential. Shaman can run a lot of weapons to make it a little bit more valuable. You probably can end up getting 2 duelists off of this. And that's why I think the card is decent. So I'm excited to see how that's going to go. That's gonna do it for this video. I went over a few more cards. I did miss a couple of days and I do apologize. I have midterms this week, so I'm trying to make sure I take care of that first. Otherwise, if you guys are interested in getting my hot take for these cards, once again, there is a Discord where a lot of my friends are chit-chatting about these cards. Link to that in the description below. Additionally, I do stream on Twitch. I'm trying to get that scheduled down more consistently. A lot of stuff's been going on, but I've been doing my best to try and make sure I'm on there a lot more. Once again, if you are interested in seeing when I go live, make sure to hop over to the Twitch channel, follow, and turn on that bell for notifications to see when I go live. And I hope to see you guys there, and just let me know what you guys think of these cards. Until the next batch of cards gets revealed, take care, everyone. Peace.